What is up, everyone? Guys, listen up. We're going to be taking a closer look at the patch that just dropped. There's a lot of balancing things in this patch, primary weapon changes, and so on. And by the way, I am live right now streaming, and I'm going to be testing all of these changes live on stream. So if you're interested, hop right in. Reduce the time it takes for the Helldiver to regain control after ragdolling from 0.8 to 0.5 seconds. This is an awesome change. The reason I say that, guys, is because this not only is a great thing for quality of life and the responsiveness of the game, but it also shows that the devs understand that this whole ragdolling is a little bit too excessive. You know what I mean? And especially when your character isn't responsive after getting ragdolled, that really doesn't feel good. And now that they're lowering this, even though this doesn't seem like a crazy thing on paper, trust me, you're gonna feel it. And every time your character in any video game just is more responsive to what you want it to do, it feels good, man. It really, really does. And I'm excited that they're going this route, so to speak. And hopefully they just remove this so our character is right dead on, like responsive right away. Then we have increased chest injury bleed damage from 1 to 10. Chest injuries now cause more noticeable damage, as the previous value of 1 was so low it appeared to have no effect. The chest injuries, I don't know where this kind of change came from, honestly. We take so much damage already from pretty much any enemy that this was, in my opinion, not needed, but I mean, it is what it is. Now let's talk about the flag. Thanks to some groundbreaking military research into pointier flag tips, the flag can now be proudly planted directly into enemies, dead or alive, ensuring the eternal colors of Super Earth are never tainted, only quenched by the blood of its foes. Absolute democracy. So I don't think this is some kind of crazy in-depth mechanical change in terms of like its effectiveness, but still we're gonna have to take a look. And this is where it gets interesting, right? Like primary weapons. The pacifier stun duration increased from 1.5 to 3 seconds. Huge, double. But there's more. Starting magazines increased from 5 to 6. That's nice. Max amount of magazines increased from 7 to 8. Slight increase in stun value applied to enemies. All of this is going to be we're just going to have to test all of this in game and then get an actual feel of all of these changes. On paper, really, really good changes, right? Pummeler. Stun duration increased from 1.5 to 3 seconds. Huge. How long have we been kind of asking for a change, buff to the Pummeler after all of its nerfs? Once again, we're going to have to test it out and see how it feels. Slight increase in stun value applied to enemies. This also is going to be very interesting. Is it going to stun some enemies now in one shot instead of 2 or 3? How is it going to work against commanders? All of this needs to be tested, and I'm going to let you guys know how it ends up feeling. Arc Blitzer, slight increase in stun value applied to enemies, as if Blitzer wasn't already really good. Another thing that we're going to have to take a look at, and by the way, I hope my English isn't failing me. English isn't my first language, so keep that in mind. But it says slight increase in stun value applied to enemies, which means that this is a buff as well. Once again, if I'm wrong, let me know in the comment section. Constitution, bayonet stagger strength increased from 20 to 25. Bayonet stagger strength increased from 20 to 25 on the amendment as well. Then we have the sidearms. The warrant now also locks on to large-sized enemies. This is very, very good, guys, because it was so weird when this weapon, I actually feel like this weapon is super fun to use, but it was like really weird that I couldn't lock onto bigger targets, essentially made it useless a lot of the times because you have so many big targets chasing you, especially on the higher difficulties of the game, right? So this is a very, very welcome change. Let's just hope it's not going to be clunky. Once again, we're going to test it out. Throwables. The urchin stagger strength increased from 0 to 50. It now staggers and affects large-sized enemies. Something that we're going to have to test and figure out. Maybe it's Ball Titan time. You never know. You never know. We're going to have to jump in and take a look. Welcome change. Incendiary grenade. The amount of fuel has been increased in the grenade, resulting in a longer lasting fire duration. And you guys already know anything that is fire related, your boy absolutely loves, right? Like we love melting down stuff. And there is something in this patch notes, dude, that is very important and very interesting as well. We're going to get to it here in a second. Then the incendiary impact. The amount of fuel has been increased in grenade, resulting in a longer lasting fire duration, essentially the same buff as to the normal incendiary grenade, which means that the fire is going to last longer on the ground. Huge. Now let's take a look at the stratagems. The Flame Sentry fire damage resistance increased from 0 to 95%. On top of that, it also got the cooldown reduction from 150 to 100 seconds. Pretty cool changes overall, but is it still enough for me to pick it up? I'm not sure. We'll see. We're going to test it, but I feel like sentries, especially this one that doesn't have much range, needs a little bit more survivability for me to have a reason to use it, because there's just better sentries with better range and damage and all that kind of stuff. The de-escalator, slight increase in stun value applied to enemies. This is actually very, very interesting that they like kind of made it even better. I was expecting that the de-escalator would have been kind of fixed. As we know, it does like way more damage than intended in groups. Like in groups, you can like 4-tap, 5-tap. For example, a Ball Titan, when you're playing solo, it takes like 2 to 4 magazines. Very inconsistent, but at the minimum 2 magazines most of the time. So I was expecting them to fix that, but maybe they're just going to leave it as is, and it's going to be very powerful in groups. Who knows? But yeah, that's the change. Boosters. Firebomb Hellpod now affects the Hellpod's default explosion as well. Stagger strength increased from 80 to 15 to prevent ragdolling players. Ragdolling players from the Hellpods should have not been a thing from the beginning, in my opinion. Anything that just stun locks or just brings that kind of vibe to the game, which takes the control out of your hands as a player, in my opinion, if it's just, especially if it's your own tool, it's kind of too much for this game, because you get hit by so many different things at all times anyway. But that's a good change. Now you will not be ragdolling. Demolition strength increased from 40 to 20 because we now correctly also additively apply the normal Hellpod explosion. Stun pods, same treatment. You're not going to be ragdolled anymore. Is this enough for you guys to bring fire bomb Hellpod or stun pods? In my opinion, probably not. There's just so many better, boosters and whatnot. But yeah, those are the changes. Enemies. General, it's now easier to put large to massive sized enemies on fire. Ladies and gentlemen, this is huge. And not only is this like something that surprised me, but this could be a game changer overall, man. We're going to have to jump in and kind of feel it out, like how much easier it is, even if it's like slightly easier, to be honest. And if you can just keep putting those bigger targets on fire with normal primary weapons, that opens up so many cool different ways to play this game in a different way and create different builds. I'm very excited, man. A lot of the times, if you're fighting a Ball Titan with the Torture or the Cookout or whatever, it takes quite some time to get that initial burn going, especially with like Cookout and incendiary shotguns when you're going for that belly area. But if it's easier to put those targets on fire, that changes a lot. Like you can make some really cool combos with primaries and support weapons. So I'm excited. Once again, we're going to jump in and take a look. For the Terminates, warrior damage needed to give warriors increased from 500 to 750 damage. This is how much damage is needed to explode the body without leaving a corpse behind. I don't quite understand why this was needed. Maybe you guys can explain to me in the comments section below. Maybe I'm missing something. Next on, automatons. For the Scout Strider, leg armor decreased from 3 to 2. Leg durable resistance has been increased. Then we have the Illuminates, Overseer variants. Unarmored torso health zone armor decreased from 2 to 1. Then we have the fixes, which is crash fixes, hangs and soft locks. Weapon stratagems, 6 boosters fixed an issue with the R2124 Constitution playing audio during wrong instances, and pretty much all that kind of stuff. Apart from that, some of the balancing changes are very, very nice in these patch notes. And I feel like this is the kind of the changes that we need when it comes to especially items in the war bonds, where they buffed up the pacifier and they doubled the stun duration in general on Pummeler, on pacifier, increased the magazine size and whatnot. And especially when we're just waiting for this new warbond dude, I'm very excited, but I'm also very scared. And I do want to make a very, very special video for after when the warbond comes out, and depending on how the warbond feels, obviously, because I feel like war bonds are such an important part of this game. But yeah, these are the update / patch notes for today. Once again, I'm gonna be live. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. We're gonna be testing all of this right now in game. Hop in, let's have a good time, let's check everything out. As always, love y'all, appreciate y'all, stay positive, stay disciplined, and I'll see you all on the next one.